Admiral Kim Dae-ho stood on the bridge of the UES Retribution, watching the stars through the massive viewing screen. His weathered face showed no emotion, but his hands gripped the railing tightly. 20 years had passed since the Vellani Empire destroyed New Seoul. 20 years since his wife Ji-young and daughter So-young died in the orbital bombardment. The bridge was quiet except for the soft hum of computers. Captain Park Soo-jin worked at her station, monitoring deep space communications. Commander Lee Woo-bin checked weapon systems. Dr. Yoon Nari reviewed medical supplies. They all knew the Admiral's story. They all had their own reasons to hate the Vellani. The Vellani ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years. They lived in crystal cities floating above gas giant planets. Their skin was pale and see-through, and they could read minds. They thought all other species were nothing more than animals. Humans were slaves to them, forced to work in dangerous mines and factories. "Admiral," Park Soo-jin called out suddenly, "I'm getting an emergency transmission on all frequencies." Kim Dae-ho turned toward her station. "Put it through." The speakers crackled to life. A voice spoke in broken galactic standard, the common language used between different alien species. The voice sounded desperate and afraid. This is Ashkira Prime Research Station. We are under attack by unknown hostile forces. Many ships destroyed. Civilians in danger. Please, any ships receiving this message, we need immediate help. We are peaceful researchers. The attackers show no mercy. Please help us." The message repeated 3 times before cutting to static. Park Soo-jin worked quickly at her controls, tracing the signal's origin. "The quantum signature matches Vellani homeworld transmissions," she reported. "This came from Ashkira Prime, the capital of the Vellani Empire." Commander Lee Woo-bin laughed bitterly. "Peaceful researchers? The Vellani don't know what peace means." Dr. Yoon Nari looked up from her medical reports. Her left arm was artificial, replaced after Vellani experiments damaged the original. "They're calling for help under the Galactic Emergency Aid Protocol. Any ship that receives a distress call is supposed to respond." Kim Dae-ho stared at the communication display. The same empire that had enslaved millions of humans was now begging for mercy. The same aliens who had bombed civilian cities were claiming to be peaceful. The same creatures who had torn his family apart wanted protection. "Sir," Park Soo-jin continued, "I'm detecting multiple human ships in nearby systems. They're all receiving the same message." "And what are they doing?" Kim Dae-ho asked. "Most are ignoring it. A few are moving toward the Vellani system, but slowly. No one seems eager to help." The Admiral walked to the center of the bridge. His crew watched him carefully. They had served under him for years. They trusted his judgment completely. "Tell me about the emergency aid protocol," he said to Park Soo-jin. "Any ship that receives a distress call is required to provide assistance if possible. The penalty for ignoring a legitimate emergency is exile from all galactic ports and trading routes. And if we respond to the call, we would be acting within galactic law. No one could question our actions." Lee Woo-bin stepped forward. "Admiral, the Vellani never helped anyone. When Earth was attacked by space pirates, they ignored our calls. When the colony ships were lost in the dark nebula, they refused to send rescue teams. They said humans weren't smart enough to deserve help," Dr. Yoon Nari added quietly. Kim Dae-ho nodded slowly. He remembered those times. The Vellani had watched human suffering with cold indifference. They had rules about helping only civilized species. Humans didn't qualify. "Sir," the communications officer announced, "we're getting reports from our scout ships. There are massive battles happening in the Vellani system. Someone is attacking them with incredible force." "Who?" Kim Dae-ho demanded. "Unknown. The attackers use biomechanical ships that adapt during combat. They're destroying Vellani forces quickly." The Admiral looked at his reflection in the dark viewing screen. His hair was gray now, marked by years of fighting and loss. His eyes were tired but still full of anger. "They want help," he said slowly. "The mighty Vellani Empire, rulers of the galaxy, are begging for mercy from the species they called animals." Park Soo-jin checked her instruments again. "Sir, I'm detecting human life signs on Vellani worlds. Millions of them. They're still using human slaves." The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew what this meant. After all these years, after all the peace treaties and agreements, the Vellani were still enslaving humans. They had never stopped. They had just hidden it better. "How long to reach the Vellani system?" Kim Dae-ho asked. 6 hours at maximum speed, the navigation officer replied. "And our fleet status?" Lee Woo-bin smiled grimly. 12 heavy cruisers, 30 destroyers, 48 fighters. Full weapon loads. The Marines are ready for anything. Kim Dae-ho walked back to his command chair. His crew waited for orders. The distress call continued to repeat in the background, growing more desperate each time. "Sir?" Park Soo-jin asked quietly. "What are your orders?" The admiral sat down and activated the fleet-wide communication system. On dozens of ships, human crews waited to hear what their commander would say. "All ships, this is Admiral Kim Dae-ho. We have received a distress call from the Villani Empire. They are under attack and requesting immediate assistance." He paused, letting his words sink in across the fleet. 20 years ago, these same aliens destroyed our cities and killed our families. They have enslaved our people for centuries. They have never shown mercy to any species they consider inferior. Another pause. The crew on the bridge watched their admiral's face carefully. "Today we will respond to their call for help. We will jump to the Villani system immediately." Dr. Yoon Nari looked confused. "Sir, we're going to help them?" Kim Dae-ho's expression was cold as space itself. "No, Doctor. We're going to give them exactly what they deserve. What they've always given others." He leaned forward in his command chair. "Prep all ships for combat jump. Load kinetic rounds and plasma torpedoes. Tell the Marines to prepare for ground assault. The Villani called for help and we're going to answer." Lee Woo-bin grinned. "Sir, what should we tell them when they ask about our intentions?" "Tell them the truth," Kim Dae-ho replied. "Tell them that Deathworlders always keep their promises. They wanted our help. They're going to get it." The fleet began preparations for jump. In 6 hours, the Villani would learn what it meant to ask humans for mercy. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Villani system. What they saw made even the most experienced veteran stop and stare. Ashkira Prime burned in the distance. The beautiful crystal cities that had floated above the gas giant for thousands of years were under attack. Massive biomechanical ships, unlike anything in the galactic databases, swarmed around the planet like angry insects. "My God," whispered Lieutenant Colonel Han Bo-ra from her scout ship. "The entire Villani defense fleet is in pieces." Admiral Kim Dae-ho studied the tactical display on his bridge. The attacking ships were huge, easily twice the size of Villani cruisers. They looked alive somehow, with organic curves and metal plating that seemed to shift and change as he watched. "Captain Park, what can you tell me about those ships?" he asked. Park Soo-jin worked frantically at her station. "I'm reading biomechanical signatures, part machine, part living tissue. Their technology is completely unknown. The computer can't identify the species." "Sir," called out the sensor operator, "I'm detecting massive energy readings from the attacking fleet. They're using some kind of viral warfare against Villani bioneural networks." Commander Lee Woo-bin pulled up weapon analysis data. "Look at this. The enemy ships are adapting to Villani energy weapons in real time. After taking 3 hits from the same weapon type, they become almost immune to it." Dr. Yoon Nari monitored the medical frequencies. Her face grew pale as she listened to the transmissions. "Admiral, I'm picking up Villani medical channels. They're reporting massive casualties. But there's something else." She paused, checking her readings again. "They're using human slaves as biological shields in their cities." The bridge fell silent. Kim Dae-ho felt his anger grow even stronger. Even facing destruction, the Villani were hiding behind innocent humans. "How many?" he asked quietly. "At least 2 million human life signs on the planet's surface. Maybe more." Han Bo-ra's voice came through the communication system. "Admiral, requesting permission to move closer for reconnaissance." "Granted. Take your squadron in for a closer look. Stay hidden." Han Bo-ra piloted her small scout ship toward the battle zone. She had served in the human fleet for 15 years, but she had never seen anything like this. The attacking ships moved like living creatures, flowing around Villani formations and striking at weak points with deadly precision. "This is Scout 1, she reported. "The enemy ships are definitely organic technology. I'm seeing them repair damage to themselves during combat. When they get hit, the hull actually grows back." She dodged a piece of debris from a destroyed Villani cruiser and moved closer to the planet. "I'm reading massive underground complexes on Ashkira Prime. The Villani have been building deep into the planet's crust. Most of the human life signs are coming from these underground areas." Chief Engineer Lim Hyun-soo studied the technical data streaming from Han Bo-ra's ship. "Admiral, these biomechanical vessels are using technology we don't understand. But I'm seeing weaknesses. They adapt to energy weapons, but kinetic rounds seem to cause more permanent damage." "Why?" Kim Dae-ho asked. "Energy weapons can be absorbed and redirected. But when you put a hole in living tissue with a metal slug, it has to heal the old-fashioned way. Commander Lee Woo-bin smiled grimly. Lucky for us, humans prefer kinetic weapons anyway. Sergeant Major Cho Jin-woo listened to the tactical discussion from the Marine Bay. He and his men had been preparing for combat since the jump began. They carried electromagnetic pulse weapons, plasma rifles, and old-fashioned explosive charges. "Colonel," he said to Lee Woo-bin, "my boys are ready for ground assault. If there are humans down there, we'll get them out." Meanwhile, Han Bo-ra had moved close enough to intercept enemy communications. What she heard chilled her blood. "Admiral, I'm picking up transmissions from the attacking fleet. The computer is trying to translate, but it's difficult. They're calling themselves the Nethys Collective." Park Soo-jin's head snapped up. Nethys? That name appears in ancient Villani historical records, from before they built their empire. "What do the records say?" Kim Dae-ho demanded. "The Villani claimed they destroyed the Nethys thousands of years ago, called them a threat to galactic civilization." Dr. Bae Tae-hyung, the fleet's xenobiologist, had been quietly studying the sensor data. Now he spoke up with excitement and horror in his voice. "Admiral, I don't think the Nethys are invaders. Look at this data. They're not attacking randomly. They're targeting specific installations on the planet's surface." "What kind of installations?" "Ancient containment facilities. The Villani have been building cities on top of them for centuries, but the original structures are much older." Kim Dae-ho felt a cold chill. "Containment for what?" "I don't know. But whatever it was, the Villani have been systematically dismantling it." Han Bo-ra's voice crackled through the speakers again. "Admiral, you need to see this. The Villani are sending out another transmission." The message appeared on the main screen. A tall Villani official with pale, translucent skin spoke directly to the camera. His large eyes showed fear for the first time in recorded history. "Human Admiral Kim Dae-ho, we know you have received our distress call. We also know of the unfortunate conflicts between our species in the past." Kim Dae-ho laughed bitterly. "Unfortunate conflicts? Is that what they call genocide now?" The Villani continued speaking. "We are prepared to offer full reparations for any past misunderstandings. We can provide the locations of all human colonies taken by our forces. We offer complete territorial concessions and trade agreements." The message paused as explosions lit up the space around the Villani fleet. "Please, Admiral, help us maintain galactic order. Without the Villani Empire, chaos will consume all civilized worlds." The transmission ended. Kim Dae-ho stared at the screen for a long moment. "Sir?" Park Soo-jin asked. "How do we respond?" Kim Dae-ho activated the fleet communication system. His voice was calm and cold. "All ships, battle stations. We're going in." "Sir?" Dr. Yoon Nari said carefully. "Are we helping the Villani?" "No, Doctor. We're saving the humans they're using as shields. And we're going to find out what the Nethys are really after." He stood up from his command chair and looked out at the burning planet. The Villani had 3,000 years to show mercy. They had countless chances to treat other species with respect. They chose cruelty every time. The human fleet began moving toward the battle zone. Their weapons powered up and their fighters launched. "Today," Kim Dae-ho said quietly, "they learn what happens when you ask Deathworlders for help." The war was about to begin. The human fleet struck like lightning. Admiral Kim Dae-ho watched as his ships opened fire on both the Nethys vessels and the Villani defense stations. The Retribution's main guns launched kinetic rounds at incredible speed, while plasma torpedoes lit up the darkness of space. "All targets concentrate fire on the orbital platforms," he ordered. "We need to clear a path to the planet." The Nethys ships, which had been adapted to fight Villani energy weapons, suddenly found themselves facing something completely different. Human kinetic rounds punched through their biomechanical hulls before they could adapt. Electromagnetic pulse torpedoes scrambled their organic computer systems. "Direct hit on Nethys command vessel," reported the weapons officer. "Their adaptation systems can't keep up with our weapon variety." Commander Lee Woo-bin coordinated the assault from his station. "The Nethys are trying to communicate with us. They're sending mathematical sequences and star charts." "Ignore them for now," Kim Dae-ho replied. "Focus on getting our people to the surface." Lieutenant Colonel Han Bo-ra led the first wave of dropships toward Ashkira Prime. Behind her flew dozens of assault craft filled with Marines. Their mission was simple: find the human slaves and get them out. As her ship entered the atmosphere, Hanbora saw the true scale of Villani cities. Crystal spires stretched for miles, connected by floating bridges and energy fields, but underneath the beauty she detected massive underground complexes. "This is Landing Force 1, she transmitted. "I'm reading millions of life signs below ground. The humans are deep inside the planet." Sergeant Major Cho Jin-woo checked his weapons one final time. He had fought in dozens of battles, but this felt different. This was personal. "Listen up," he told his Marines. "We're going in to get our people. The Villani will try to stop us. The Nethys might attack us too. I don't care. No human gets left behind." The dropships landed near the largest crystal city. As the Marines poured out, Villani security forces opened fire with their elegant energy weapons. The humans responded with brutal efficiency, using cover and tactics the Villani couldn't understand. Meanwhile, in space, Commander Shin Ye-jin had begun her cyber warfare assault. Her job was to hack into both Villani and Nethys computer systems to gather intelligence. What she found made her sick. "Admiral," she reported, her voice shaking, "I've accessed Villani genetic research databases. They've been experimenting on humans for centuries." "What kind of experiments?" Kim Dae-ho asked, though he dreaded the answer. "They've been trying to create perfect slave warriors, humans with enhanced strength and endurance but damaged brains that make them obedient. There are entire generations underground who have never seen sunlight." Dr. Yoon Nari monitored the medical channels as reports came in from the surface. "Sir, the Marines are finding the slave facilities. The conditions are worse than we imagined." On the planet's surface, Cho Jin-woo and his team had broken into one of the underground complexes. What they found horrified even these battle-hardened soldiers. Thousands of humans lived in cramped metal cages. Many showed signs of genetic modification. Some had been changed so much they barely looked human anymore. Children who had never seen the sky worked on Villani technology with their small hands. "Get medical teams down here now," Cho Jin-woo ordered, "and bring everything we have. These people need immediate help." Dr. Bae Tae-hyung, studying captured Nethys technology, made a shocking discovery. The biomechanical ships weren't just weapons of war. They were trying to repair something. "Admiral, the Nethys aren't invaders," he announced. "They're trying to fix ancient containment systems. The Villani have been destroying them to build their cities." "Containment for what?" Kim Dae-ho demanded. "I'm not sure yet, but it's something that requires massive energy barriers to keep it locked away." Commander Oh Jae-sung led a team to capture Villani officials for questioning. They found the aliens hiding in their crystal palaces while their human slaves died protecting them. "You don't understand," pleaded a high-ranking Villani administrator. "We maintain order in the galaxy. Without us, chaos will return." "Your kind of order involves enslaving children," Oh Jae-sung replied coldly. "Tell me about the containment systems." The Villani's pale face grew even whiter. "Those are ancient warnings. Superstitions from primitive times. We needed the space for expansion. What were they containing? Nothing. Empty space. We proved it when we dismantled the barriers." But even as the Villani spoke, something was happening at the edge of the system. Space itself seemed to be tearing apart, revealing something dark and hungry behind it. General Kang Min-ho arrived with reinforcements just as the first reports came in from the outer system. "Admiral, our long-range sensors are detecting massive energy distortions. Something is coming through the gaps in space." Kim Dae-ho stared at the tactical display. Whatever was emerging from the tiers in space, it was huge, and it was consuming everything in its path. Dr. Bae Tae-hyung worked frantically to understand the ancient technology. "Sir, I think the Villani made a terrible mistake. The containment systems weren't keeping something out. They were keeping something in." On the planet's surface, the rescue of human slaves continued. Captain Kim Soo-young coordinated the evacuation but faced a heartbreaking problem. Many of the slaves were afraid of rescue. They had been conditioned for so long that freedom terrified them. "It's going to be okay," she told a group of human children who cowered away from her Marines. "We're here to take you home." But some of the children didn't even speak human languages anymore. They had been raised speaking only Villani. Commander Shin Ye-jin's cyber assault had uncovered more terrible secrets. The Villani had detailed records of their crimes against dozens of species. They had wiped out entire civilizations and enslaved the survivors. "Admiral, you need to see this," she transmitted. "The Villani have been systematically destroying ancient safeguards across 12 star systems." They knew exactly what they were doing. Kim Dae-ho felt his anger reach new heights. The Villani hadn't just enslaved his people. They had endangered the entire galaxy for their own expansion. A new transmission came from the Villani leadership. The same official who had begged for help now spoke with desperate authority. Human Admiral, we offer you complete control of our empire. All our worlds, all our technology, all our resources. Take everything, but help us stop what's coming. Kim Dae-ho looked at his crew. They had rescued thousands of humans, but millions more remained in slavery. The Nethys were trying to repair damage that might already be too late to fix. And something ancient and evil was breaking free from its prison. Sir? Park Soo-jin asked. How do we respond? Kim Dae-ho activated the communication system. His message would be broadcast to every ship in the system, both human and alien. This is Admiral Kim Dae-ho of the human fleet. We came here because you called for help. You wanted mercy from the species you called animals. He paused, watching the tactical display as more tiers appeared in space. We don't want your empire. We don't want your worlds. We want justice. The Admiral stood up from his command chair. You spent 3,000 years proving that you don't deserve mercy. Today you learn what happens when Deathworlders decide your fate. In the distance, something vast and dark began to emerge from the tiers in reality. The real battle was about to begin. The darkness that came through the tiers in space had a name. Void Wraiths. Dr. Ko Eun-jung, the fleet's expert on ancient alien technology, studied the readings with growing horror. Admiral, these entities are pure energy beings. They consume matter at the quantum level. Entire stars disappear when they feed. Admiral Kim Dae-ho watched the tactical display as more human ships arrived in the system. Fleet Admiral Ryu Seung-ho had brought the entire Third Fleet to respond to the crisis. Status report. Admiral Kim, Ryu Seung-ho transmitted from his flagship. We've rescued 40,000 humans from the planet's surface, but millions more remain in underground facilities. The Villani systematically destroyed ancient containment systems. Now something called Void Wraiths is breaking free. And the Nethys? They're not invaders. They're trying to repair the containment before it's too late. Major Park Dong-hyun led his Marines deeper into the crystal cities of Ashkira Prime. The rescue mission had become a race against time. Every hour they delayed meant more humans would die when the Void Wraiths reached the planet. His team had found something that made his blood boil. In the deepest levels of the Villani complexes, they discovered breeding facilities where humans had been kept like animals for generations. Captain Kim, you need to see this, he transmitted to Kim Soo-young. She arrived to find children who had never walked upright. Humans who had been modified to work in zero-gravity environments. People who had been bred specifically to survive in toxic atmospheres so they could mine deadly materials for their Villani masters. How many? She asked quietly. Over 200,000 in this facility alone, and there are dozens of similar complexes across the city. Dr. Yoon Nari worked in the field hospitals that had been set up near the landing zones. Despite her personal hatred for the Villani Empire, she followed her medical oath and treated wounded Villani civilians alongside rescued humans. Doctor, called one of her assistants, we have a problem. Some of the rescued humans have been so genetically modified that our standard medical equipment doesn't work on them. She looked at the patient, a young woman whose DNA had been altered to give her enhanced reflexes, but damaged emotional responses. We'll have to develop new treatments. Document everything. We need to understand what they did to our people. Commander Oh Jae-sung interrogated captured Villani officials in a makeshift prison. What he learned made the crimes even worse. You knew, he said to a Villani military commander. You knew the containment systems were protecting the galaxy. The alien's translucent skin showed patches of color that indicated fear. The old warnings were unclear. We thought they were primitive superstitions. Don't lie to me. I've seen your research files. You studied the ancient technology for centuries before dismantling it. The Villani commander looked away. We needed the space. Our population was growing. The contained areas had valuable resources. So you risked the entire galaxy for mining rights? We thought we could control whatever was inside. We thought our technology was superior. Oh Jae-sung wanted to strike the alien, but he controlled himself. How many systems did you compromise? 12, maybe 15. The records are incomplete. In space above the planet, the battle had evolved into something unprecedented. Human ships fought alongside Nethys vessels against the growing Void Wraith incursion. The enemy entities were unlike anything in the galactic databases. They phased through normal matter, reported Chief Engineer Lim Hyun-soo. Energy weapons pass right through them. Kinetic rounds have no effect. Commander Shin Ye-jin had established communication links with the Nethys collective consciousness. The translation was difficult, but the message was clear. They're saying the containment systems require specific quantum frequencies to rebuild, she told Admiral Kim Dae-ho. The Vellani destruction was so thorough that normal repair methods won't work. What do they need? A living interface, someone who can connect directly with the ancient control systems. Dr. Ko Eun-jung studied the technical specifications the Nethys had provided. Admiral, humans have the right electromagnetic signatures to interface with this technology. But the process would be extremely dangerous. How dangerous? Probably fatal. The human nervous system would have to channel massive amounts of energy. Fleet Admiral Ryu Seung-ho joined the conversation via secure transmission. We're receiving reports from other star systems. The void wraiths are spreading. 3 outer colonies have gone silent. Kim Dae-ho looked at the strategic display. Red markers showed wraith incursions across a dozen systems. The containment failure was accelerating. On the planet's surface, Captain Nam Il-woo prepared the experimental ship UES Vengeance for a desperate mission. The vessel had been designed to operate in high-energy environments, but this would push it beyond all safety limits. Sir, his engineering officer reported, we've loaded the quantum containment device the Nethys provided, but flying into the wraith energy field will destroy the ship. I know, Nam Il-woo replied calmly. Make sure the device deploys properly. That's all that matters. Major Park Dong-hyun received new orders from General Kang Min-ho. All Marine units accelerate the evacuation. We're running out of time. His teams worked frantically to move rescued humans to the transport ships, but they faced an impossible choice. There were too many people and not enough time to save them all. Sir, Sergeant Major Cho Jin-woo reported, we've found the main control center for the slave facilities. If we can take it, we might be able to release all the containment fields at once. Do it. Take whoever you need. The assault on the Vellani control center was fierce. The aliens fought desperately to protect their slave operations, using human prisoners as shields. But the human Marines had advantages the Vellani couldn't match. They fought with the fury of people rescuing their own families. Cho Jin-woo planted explosive charges on the main control systems while his team held off Vellani security forces. Detonation in 30 seconds. Everyone out. The explosion freed hundreds of thousands of humans simultaneously, but it also triggered automatic defense systems throughout the city. Meanwhile, Dr. Ko Eun-jung made a breakthrough in understanding the ancient technology. Admiral, I think I know why humans can interface with these systems. The technology isn't alien. It's from an earlier version of human civilization. What are you talking about? The quantum signatures, the control interfaces, even the warning messages. They match human brain patterns. Our ancestors built these containment systems millions of years ago. Kim Dae-ho stared at her in shock. You're saying humans have been to this part of the galaxy before? Not just visited. Lived here. Built an advanced civilization. Then something happened that forced them to contain the void wraiths and flee to other parts of the galaxy. The implications were staggering. Humans weren't primitive newcomers to galactic civilization. They were returning to their ancient home. Captain Nam Il-woo received his final orders. The UES Vengeance would carry the quantum containment device directly into the largest wraith manifestation. The mission was suicide, but it might save billions of lives. This is Captain Nam Il-woo to all units, he transmitted. It's been an honor serving with you. Tell my family I died protecting innocent people. His ship accelerated toward the swirling mass of dark energy that marked the main wraith incursion. Behind him, human and Nethys vessels provided covering fire, though their weapons had little effect on the energy beings. Admiral Kim Dae-ho watched the tactical display as Nam Il-woo's ship disappeared into the darkness. For long moments, nothing happened. Then a brilliant flash lit up the entire system. Quantum containment field is active, Dr. Ko Eun-jung reported. The wraiths in this area are being forced back into whatever dimension they came from. But even as one threat was contained, reports came in from across the galaxy. The Vellani Empire's crimes had consequences that would take years to repair. Kim Dae-ho looked at his crew. They had saved who they could, but the job was far from over. All ships prepare for the next phase of operations. We have a galaxy to heal. 6 months after the Battle of Ashkira Prime, Admiral Kim Dae-ho stood in the rebuilt courtroom on New Geneva Station. Before him sat the surviving leaders of the Vellani Empire, facing trial for crimes against every species in the galaxy. The Galactic Tribunal had been humanity's idea. Instead of seeking revenge, they had chosen justice. Representatives from dozens of species served as judges, prosecutors, and defenders. Even some Villani served on the court, those who had opposed their empire's slave system. "The defendant will rise," announced Judge Chen Wei-Ming, a human who had lost his entire family to Villani raids. The former Villani emperor, now stripped of his crystalline ceremonial robes, stood on shaking legs. His pale, translucent skin showed patterns of fear and shame. "You are charged with crimes against sentient life, systematic slavery, genocide, and endangering galactic security through the destruction of ancient containment systems. How do you plead?" The translator worked for several seconds before the Villani's response came through. "Guilty of all charges." There had been no denying the evidence. Commander Shin Ye-jin's cyber warfare teams had recovered complete records of Villani crimes spanning 3 millennia. The data was so overwhelming that even Villani defense lawyers had advised guilty pleas. Dr. Yoon Nari sat in the medical section of the courtroom, having testified about the genetic experiments performed on human slaves. Her artificial arm gleamed under the station's lights, a permanent reminder of Villani cruelty. "The court has reviewed the evidence," Judge Chen continued. "The scale of these crimes is unprecedented in galactic history. Entire species were enslaved. Billions of sentient beings died in forced labor camps. Ancient safeguards protecting all life were destroyed for profit." In the gallery, rescued humans watched the proceedings. Many still showed signs of genetic modification. Children who had learned to walk upright for the first time sat next to adults who were seeing sunlight through windows. Captain Kim Soo-young had spent months helping these survivors adjust to freedom. The psychological damage was often worse than the physical modifications. "Your Honor," the Villani Emperor spoke through his translator, "my people are dying. Our worlds are in chaos without leadership. Many Villani starve because they never learned to care for themselves." Judge Chen looked down at the alien with no sympathy. "You should have considered that before enslaving others to do everything for you." The trial had revealed the full extent of Villani dependence on slave labor. They had enslaved so many species for so long that most Villani didn't know how to grow food, maintain technology, or even clean their cities. Fleet Admiral Ryu Sung-ho entered the courtroom as the sentences were announced. He had just returned from the Outer Rim, where human and Nethys ships worked together to repair the remaining containment systems. The court sentences the former Villani leadership to life imprisonment on the prison world of Kepler 438b. They will work to repair the damage they have caused, under supervision from the Galactic Rehabilitation Authority. The Villani Emperor's skin flashed with panic colors. "Please, the prison world is too harsh for our species. We cannot survive in such environments. Neither could the humans you forced to work in your toxic mines." Judge Chen replied coldly. "The difference is that you will be given proper safety equipment and medical care. Luxuries you never provided to your slaves." Commander Li Wubin watched from the military section as the verdicts continued. Lower-ranking Villani officials received lesser sentences, while those who had actively opposed the slave system were granted amnesty. The most difficult decisions involved Villani civilians. Millions of ordinary citizens had benefited from slave labor, but had no direct involvement in the crimes. The court ruled that they would be relocated to supervised worlds, where they would learn to live without enslaved. Labor Dr. Bai Tai-hyung had spent months studying the alliance between humans and the Nethys Collective. The biomechanical species had proven to be natural partners for humanity. Both species valued protecting innocent life above personal gain. "The Nethys have requested formal alliance status," he reported to Admiral Kim Dae-ho after the trial. "They want humans to help guard the repaired containment systems." "What did you tell them?" "That we would be honored to serve as galactic guardians alongside them." The relationship had grown from mutual necessity to genuine friendship. The Nethys collective consciousness found human individuality fascinating, while humans marveled at the Nethys ability to share thoughts and experiences directly. Major Park Dong-hyun had been promoted to colonel for his actions during the rescue operations. He now commanded the Human Liberation Corps, dedicated to finding and freeing any remaining slaves throughout the galaxy. "Sir, we've located 17 more slave facilities in former Villani territory," he reported to General Kang Min-ho. "All different species. The Villani enslaved anyone they could catch. The rescue operations had revealed the true scope of Volani crimes. They had enslaved not just humans, but hundreds of other species. Some had been in captivity for so long that their home worlds had forgotten they existed. Captain Na Milwoo's sacrifice had not been forgotten. The rebuilt New Seoul colony featured a memorial where Admiral Kim Dae-ho often came to remember his wife and daughter. Na Milwoo's name was carved next to theirs, along with thousands of other humans who had died fighting for freedom. Commander Oh Jae-sung had been appointed as the first director of Galactic War Crimes Investigation. His teams worked across dozens of star systems, documenting atrocities and ensuring that justice reached every corner of the former Volani Empire. "We've identified over 300 prison worlds," he reported to the Galactic Council. "Some contained species we thought were extinct. The Volani kept them alive to use as experimental subjects. The work of liberation and rehabilitation would take decades, but for the first time in 3 millennia, the galaxy was free from the Volani Empire's oppression." Dr. Ko Eun-jung's research into ancient human civilization had revealed remarkable discoveries. Humans had indeed built an advanced galactic civilization millions of years ago, before the void wraiths forced them to flee to the outer edges of the galaxy. "We are not newcomers," she explained to the Galactic Archaeological Society. "We're coming home." The ancient human ruins found throughout former Volani space supported this theory. Humans had built the containment systems, established trade routes, and created alliances with dozens of species. The Volani had simply taken credit for human achievements. Lieutenant Colonel Han Bo-ra now commanded a joint human-Nethys patrol fleet that guarded the repaired containment systems. The void wraiths had been pushed back into their dimensional prison, but constant vigilance was required to keep them there. "Status report from Sector 7, she transmitted to Admiral Kim Dae-ho. "All containment fields stable. No wraith activity detected." The Nethys had shared their biomechanical technology with humans, while humans provided tactical innovation and individual creativity that the collective consciousness sometimes lacked. Together, they were more effective than either species alone. Sergeant Major Cho Jin-woo had retired from active combat, but continued working with rescued slave populations. Many former slaves suffered from severe psychological trauma and needed specialized care. "The hardest part," he told Dr. Yunari during one of their counseling sessions, "is convincing them that freedom is real. Some of them keep asking when they'll be returned to their masters." The medical challenges were equally complex. Generations of genetic modification meant that many rescued humans could not survive without ongoing treatment. Dr. Yunari had established rehabilitation centers throughout human space. "We're not trying to change them back to what they were," she explained to new medical staff. "We're helping them become what they choose to be." Admiral Kim Dae-ho stood on the observation deck of the UES Retribution, now serving as flagship of the Galactic Guardian Fleet. Through the massive viewing screen, he could see Ashkira Prime being rebuilt. The crystal cities were gone, replaced by practical structures where former slaves learned to govern themselves. Humans, Nethys, and reformed Volani worked together to create something better than the empire that had fallen. Captain Park Soo-jin, now promoted to Admiral, joined him at the viewing screen. "The latest reports from the outer systems are positive. Former slave species are establishing their own governments. The galaxy is healing." Kim Dae-ho nodded slowly. "It will take generations to repair all the damage, but at least now it's possible." A communication alert chimed softly. New reports of potential slave camps in unexplored regions. Distress calls from species just discovering their freedom. Request for assistance from worlds trying to build new societies. Duty calls, Park Soo-jin observed. Kim Dae-ho smiled, feeling more peace than he had known in 20 years. His wife and daughter would never return, but their deaths had meaning now. The galaxy was safer because humans had chosen justice over revenge. Indeed it does. "Signal the fleet. We have work to do." The human ships began moving toward their next mission. Behind them, the Nethys vessels fell into formation. Together, the Deathworlders and their biomechanical allies would guard the galaxy against any who would prey upon the innocent. The Volani Empire was gone, but its greatest legacy was unintended. In trying to destroy humanity,